last one here is going to be from Rob Turen. Could we ever see NHL teams in Europe? And if yes, how would it work?
Well,
That one just seems too tough.
you're the one in Europe right now. You're the one seeing the logistics of it all. Like, what would be your thoughts?
Yeah, I just, someone here, another writer here made the comment to me this week that they would love to see NHL teams in the Champions League. That feels a little more attainable and yet still too hard to pull off, right? I think an NHL team in Europe travel wise, with the jet lag, it's just entirely too hard to pull off. You'd almost have to have an entire division out here that played each other and then came over for the playoffs or something. Which I'm not saying is like impossible, but it just seems like a logistical headache to me. Um, even the Champions League idea, which I kind of love, you're still asking teams to take time out of there. You'd almost have to tell every Champions League team, you're going to have to go do this. If you're playing an NHL team, it has to be in North America to make it work schedule wise for them. And I don't know if that's something that even works out either. So I think the logistics are just too tough.
I feel like we're going towards this direction right now, like as a society. I don't know when it happens, but I feel like there's momentum in this direction. I think particularly in the NFL, I think it's going to happen at some point. And the big difference between the NFL and the NHL is the number of games. You got 17
Yes.
games there, not 82. So I can see like a path where like the NFL has like these games in England and Germany they've been doing right now. And you can kind of send two teams over there to play that game and then have them stay an extra week and play the team in Europe. And then you got
Yes.
the team in Europe come over for like 3 to 4 weeks in a row or something like that. And you could kind of make those logistics works to where it's fair and makes for a representative quality, in terms of the games and the standings. The NHL will be different because I think I agree with you. Like I don't think you can just have teams pop over for a one-off in Sweden or something like that. There would need to be to make it fair, to make it make sense. I think financially, they would need to come over and be here for 2 weeks.
And the
So they would
NHL
have
already has the 1 week buffer on either side of a game, right? Like the Red Wings, the Wild, the Senators, the Leafs are all doing that. They got like 4 or 5 day buffers on either side of the game. And it's going to compress the rest of their schedule so much just in the buffer time to adjust to the jet lag that it's going to be a hardship. That's something that's in my story today with Peter. The Avs talked about that from last year and how that affected them. So unless I think you were going to make a whole division over here and teams were going to come for like you said, kind of like a 2 week road trip, you'd almost have to have six if you're going to do any, I think.
I mean, the NHLPA loves this idea. 6 new teams, like about 150 new jobs. This sounds
Yeah, that's
great.
right. Yeah, that's right.
And we can't find goalies on any of these 32 teams right now. Imagine if there was 36 teams.
Yeah,
Think think
exactly.
about think about who your starting goalie would be in that situation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the idea though, because I do think the hockey culture here is so great. And you've been to European games, Corey, like the atmospheres honestly kind of blow the NHL atmosphere out of the water with some of the crowds. And all due respect to our listeners who are the NHL fans, but it's amazing. I would love to see that on a regular basis, and I can't wait to see it in 2 hours tonight. So uh it's going to be I just think logistically it's going to be too hard to pull off, but I hope I'm wrong. I just
Could
I don't see it.
I don't know about like a full-time team there, but could you do something where like you have like a block of your schedule that's purely divisional so that there's no disadvantages in terms of time zones and stuff like that, and just take a block of those divisional teams and just send them over for a couple of weeks?
Maybe you'd have to make sure that those teams were okay with living out of hotels for that amount of time, I guess. But in that way, that's not like what you're kind of describing isn't too dissimilar to just like the baseball concept of home stands and road trips, right? Like they are kind of a week on, a week off, and it's just the way of life.
Right, just the teams would need to be compensated for the lost home games and stuff like that. But that's the way I think it would have to work. Outside of, like you said, adding 5 teams essentially across Europe, which is
Right.
basically would that was like kind of the KHL's vision at one point, was to be like a cross continental, not cross continental, like they wanted to have teams before the war, stuff like that. They were trying to get teams. They had the team in Helsinki, Jokerit, and
Yeah.
they had visions of going to other countries
There
too.
was a China
Uh,
team.
yes, and they that was their vision. Obviously that vision is no longer a thing, but that would be how it has to be implemented. Is you need to have like a team in the Czech Republic, a team in Sweden, a team in Finland, and I just don't know if that scenario is realistic in the NHL. But again, I think in football it's coming.